Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I'm here with a review of the brand new S.H.Figuarts Vegeta 24,000 power level from Dragon Ball Z. More specifically the Namek saga of Dragon Ball Z. And I always say this in videos, and maybe that's because I only review very significant releases due to time and whatnot. But this is one we've been waiting for. And like I said, I know I say it a lot, but this is one that I think everyone has truly been waiting for. I think the product pictures when they first came out were slightly underwhelming. And, you know, it looked like a retool, and the new head sculpt looked really good with all the different faces. That looked really good. But besides from that, I wasn't too excited. I thought the body was a bit of a funny shape. However, it is more accurate, but I thought it was a bit of a funny shape. I didn't know how well it would translate into action figure form. But over the past few days, I've been seeing Instagram posts and reviews and people posing it and taking pictures of it, and it looks absolutely fantastic. So I am now really excited for this figure. As you can see, we've got the box here in the beautiful royal blue color, or what I like to call it, the Saiyan Prince blue color. It just looks so sleek, so nice, and I think it's one of the nicest boxes I've seen probably all year. I don't think I've seen a nicer box this year. I don't know about last year. Memory's not that good, but this is definitely the best box I've seen so far this year. And bringing the box closer, as you can see, we've got product picture there. We've got the figure itself with the alternate faces. We've got some more product pictures on the side and some more on the back with some posing. Like I said, these companies are getting better at posing for their box art, which is very good, and I'm very happy about that. But without further ado, because I cannot contain the excitement, let's get into the box and have a closer look at the figure. So here is Vegeta out of the packaging, kind of. Just before we get into the figure itself, I just want to say a quick thank you to Nin Game and FedEx. This came in 3 days, which from Japan to the UK in 3 days from day of release of the actual figure is absolutely crazy. So I just want to say a big thank you to Nin Game especially, and FedEx as well, for the great service. And they also included the shipper box for anyone who's interested. I think that is being included with this figure when you order it. Some companies take it away, but I think if you order it from Japan, you should be good to get it. Not everyone keeps shipper boxes, but I do like the S.H.Figuarts one, so yeah, it is greatly appreciated. But without further ado, let's get into the figure. So here are Vegeta and his accessories, and just before we get into those, I would just like to ask if you could leave a like on the video and also subscribe. I'm trying to really grow this channel and grow this community, so that would be a massive help to me. But without further ado, let's look at the accessories first, and then we'll take a closer look at Vegeta. So, starting off with the faceplates, we've got the smiling with the teeth, the angry one with the gritty teeth. This one has the ear inside it, by the way, which you'll have to replace if you want them on the other faceplates. We've got the screaming one. We've got the folded arms. We've got flat palm hands. We've got the more clawed open hands. And then we've got the wide open hands. And on the figure itself, we've got the Scouter, which looks really good. We've got the smiling face. Is that smiling or is it straight face? It's a bit of a smile, We've got the shoulder pads, which are removable, so you could count those as an accessory if you wanted to. And then we've got the fists on out of the box, which is pretty standard. I've also done the quality control check on this figure. If you watch the channel regularly, you'll know I like to check the quality control behind the scenes before we record, just to make sure if there is any problems that I should warn you guys about. If you're buying this figure, I know and I can point that out in the review rather than finding out later. So there is no problems on this figure, as I can tell. His feet were slightly stuck, like they needed like breaking in kind of thing. That's the only thing that I could really point out, but that's not really a problem. As soon as you move it, if you just move it slowly, they'll just articulate as normal. So yeah, all perfectly fine. And just one thing I want to explain is with the ear and the Scouter, they can be interchanged within each faceplate with this little gap here which you could plug it into, so you can have each faceplate in both the Scouter style and without the Scouter. So yeah, that's the same with every Scouter Saiyan figure, but just in case, because I think the other Scouter Saiyan figures aren't as popular, obviously, as Vegeta. So Bardock, maybe not a lot of people have Bardock, and Turles, maybe not a lot of people have him. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out. But without further ado, let's take a closer look at the figure itself. So taking a closer look at Vegeta, as you can see, starting from the top, the hair and the face look absolutely perfect. I think they've done a really good job capturing that Z style for Vegeta. Obviously, a very different style to the ones that they've been doing in the past with all the... Obviously, they released Super Vegeta a couple of times. That's really the main one they've been using. And from the old Vegetas, they look a bit more stylistic to Z, but this is basically perfect in terms of capturing that look. And yeah, the slender face, the sort of blocky hair looks really, really nice all the way around as well. So yeah, I can't really complain about that at all. And then we've got the Scouter. The Scouters always look really good. It doesn't matter which figure it is. If the figure has a Scouter, it's going to look good. So yeah, I'm very happy with that as well. And I do want to try something later. Maybe it might be interchangeable with some Scouters. I'm really hoping so, because if we could interchange it with a green Scouter, that would be really good. And I think Bardock does have one, so we can try that later. But yeah, that looks absolutely fantastic. And then moving down to the torso, that also looks really good. Obviously, when they first released the pictures, it was a bit weird seeing it. It was quite wide and it looked sort of disproportionate, but it is very accurate to that art style again. So I didn't know how well it was going to translate into figure form, but I think it has translated really well. It looks absolutely fantastic with the broad shoulder plates as well. The arm is pretty well detailed. It doesn't need a lot of detail, but yeah, it looks really, really good, even around the back here. And these obviously are articulated, which adds to, you know, the movement and the range you're going to get out of this figure. So yeah, very good. The arms, I'm pretty sure the standard 2.0s. If I'm wrong, please remind me, but I'm 90% sure this standard 2.0s. Maybe a different shoulder joint there. And the legs are definitely standard 2.0 legs, but if it isn't broken, don't fix it. The 2.0 legs and the arms both work really well for Vegeta, so I don't feel like they need to fix it. In terms of his proportions, it fits perfectly. And the 3.0 Vegeta is something they're going to have to be very careful with when they do, because 3.0 is very, like, it's quite a lot bigger, and the proportions are quite massive compared to 2.0 at least. So, like, when you see Goku and stuff, is quite a lot bigger, and even the Gohan, Teen Gohan figure, and Trunks, but they're all wearing baggy clothes is another thing that you have to understand. With the Saiyan armor, it's very much sort of skin tight, so they're going to have to be very careful when they make that, but I am excited for them to bring out a 3.0 Vegeta. But besides from that, the figure looks absolutely fantastic. I definitely cannot fault it on its looks, but let's get into the articulation. So moving on to the articulation, the head can look up about that far, which is really good. Move down about that far. We've got side to side and then a full rotation. The head and the neck joint are going to work as one unit to get you a really nice range of motion, really nice tilt looking in almost any direction. So that's pretty much perfect. Then moving down to the torso, he can crunch back about that far and then crunch forward about that far, which is okay. It's not too bad, but considering this is a really bulky piece of armor, that's kind of what I expected, and I'm perfectly happy with that. Then we've got rotation, and then we've got a bit of tilt as well. So that'll give you a nice range of movement as well. We've got the waist swivel. And then before we move on to the arms and legs, we've got the shoulder pads, which we first saw on Turles. These have the hinge there, which will hinge down and then move out of the way like that. So then that will give you the range of movement for the arm without it hitting the shoulder pad. Is quite delicate. They do come out as well if you want him without the shoulder pads. I won't be doing it because it's very delicate and very hard to do on camera. So yeah, he does look quite good without it though. I have seen pictures. He does look quite good without it. So if you want to have him in that style, but yeah, besides from that, the shoulder pads, they move out of the way and they'll hinge up and down like that. And you'll want to use, move on to the arms now. You'll want to use the drop down feature on the arms to move the arms out of the way to make sure that can go back in place. The butterfly joints can also help with that by going up, down, forward and back. This one's a little bit stuck, but the butterfly joint does go forward and back. Then you've got your standard arm rotation, which will rotate all the way if you can maneuver the shoulder pad in the right direction. Then you've got your bicep swivel, and then you've got your double jointed elbows. Then we've got the wrist peg here with the standard hinge on it. So yeah, standard, very much standard 2.0 arms. The new pieces of this figure are definitely the torso, the shoulder pads, and the head and the neck. So very much just this part of the figure. So these are 2.0, these are 2.0. And moving on to the legs to see how much articulation we get out of these. Kicks forward about that far, kicks back, this will move about that far, which is really good. We've got the thigh swivel, the double jointed knees, then coming down to the feet. Oh, actually, splits. Let's not forget the splits. Can't do it all the way, but still decent enough. Then coming to the foot goes forward about that far and back about that far to the point where he can basically stand. And then we've got the toe articulation and the ankle pivot. So yeah, pretty much very good articulation for this figure. Very much impressed by this whole top section, because obviously 2.0 is something we're very much used to, so it's a nice change of pace to get a retooling of that rather than a 3.0 at the moment. I think we will see a 3.0 Vegeta very soon. In what style, I don't know, but I think we will see one very soon, so I would keep an eye out for that. But besides from that, I am very, very happy with this articulation. So before we move on to the comparisons, I just wanted to pose with him and switch out some accessories and whatnot. And he looks absolutely fantastic. And he really poses quite smoothly. When you use the drop down ball joint on the arms and just move the arms, the shoulder pads will just move with the arms, which is something I didn't realize until after the articulation segment. So that's why I'm mentioning it now. And that's why you can see it looks quite natural when his arms are moved and how the shoulder pad is sitting. So yeah, I've put on the screaming face with one of the flat palm hands and it looks absolutely fantastic. And I will be doing more posing for this guy on my TikTok and my Instagram, which are both in the description, so don't forget to go and follow those. But let's move on to the comparisons now, because there's a lot of figures that I want to compare this one to. So for our first comparison, we have got the brand new Vegeta next to the Saiyan Saga 2.0 Vegeta. This is a damaged one with panel lining, which I got off a friend, but we can still make some really good comparisons here. The first main one, obviously, like, it's just visually obvious. This one's a lot shorter, but the proportions are a lot bigger, so it's a lot more accurate, and it just looks miles better off this one straight away. The scouter is way bigger. The head is way bigger, but it's shorter in size. The sort of armor is more bulkier. And I know this is from different points in the story, but to be fair, it should be the same proportions. Like, you could easily put on a the skirt piece for this one and say it's a Saiyan Saga Vegeta and realistically get away with it. But yeah, there's massive differences in the color of the armor as well. You can see this is a lot more white, and then this is a lot more yellow, and this is more gray, which I really, really like. I do really like that. So yeah, to be honest, this is miles better. And were we robbed were we robbed? Should we have got a skirt piece on this guy, and would it have been a Saiyan Saga release? Because I think that would have worked out really, really, really well if they had a skirt piece in the tail. I think they could have made an amazing release, and I think that we might see that kind of release down the line with this sculpt. So yeah, but you can make that custom if you do really want to. There is the Dragon Stars Vegeta has the Dragon Star Saiyan Saga Vegeta has the skirt piece which you can take off and put on this one, which apparently looks really good. So if you wanted to spend the extra 20 and give that the skirt piece, which I might actually do, go ahead, and I'm sure it will look great. But yeah, these two, I usually say they look great next to each other. That's usually my line for the end of the segment. But this just looks night and day, and I'd much rather take this one. So for our next comparison, we've got the brand new Vegeta next to the 3.0 Legendary Super Saiyan Goku. And yeah, this is basically one of my favorite action figures of all time, to be honest with you. And to have this standing next to this is absolutely perfect. They don't really make any sense together, like in terms of canon. Like, these two versions of each other never meet. So this is way before this happened. So yeah, and Vegeta never rocks this design again after the Namek saga. So to have them next to each other doesn't really make any sense, but they do look absolutely fantastic together. So for the next comparison, we have the brand new Vegeta next to the S.H.Figuarts Turles figure, which is essentially a predecessor for the Vegeta, because this takes a lot of elements from this, reworks it, and puts it onto the Vegeta body. As you can see, the armor is very similar in terms of its mold, and the articulation, like I mentioned before, is exactly the same in terms of the armor. Now, this does have the 3.0 element of different joints, but then again, this is a bulky figure. This, however, needs slender parts like the legs and the arms, so they've used a 2.0, which I don't particularly mind. So these two actually look fantastic next to each other. I would love to have a display with this Vegeta at the front, Raditz, Turles. I want a new Bardock. Like, I really want a new Bardock. I'm going to show Bardock in the next comparison, but I really want a new Bardock. So yeah, but I think the Saiyan display is going to come along really nicely. So for our next comparison, we have got the S.H.Figuarts Bardock, like I mentioned before. I am waiting for a new Bardock, a 3.0 Bardock. I think that would be absolutely fantastic. These two do look okay next to each other. The one problem Vegeta is going to have with next to 2.0 figures is the proportions are quite different. I know Vegeta in the manga and the anime is like proportionately quite different from all the characters, so it would work, to be fair. But like, standing next to Bardock here, he looks quite a bit bigger, considering he's not really powered up or anything. It's just his base form. He does look quite a bit bigger. So yeah, I would like more 3.0s to go along with this Vegeta. But yeah, the Scouters, I am going to try and swap them over. If it does work, I'll show it in the video. If it doesn't, I'll just leave it. But yeah, I did forget to mention that the Scouter for this Vegeta is modelled off the Turles one. I'm hoping these are the same, but I don't think they are. They don't look the same to the eye right now, but I'll double check. So I have managed to get Bardock Scouter into the peg, and it does actually look really, really nice. Like, it's not molded for Vegeta's face, obviously. It's a different kind of shape, and obviously it's a different Scouter anyway. The details on it are completely different, but it does look really, really nice, and it does fit pretty well. I wouldn't try and like force it in there. If it doesn't fit, it kind of, for me, kind of slightly pegs in and just stays there, and it has got a possibility of falling out, but it probably won't. And for photography and stuff, it will be completely fine. So yeah, it does look really nice, and if you do want to do it and you do have Bardock, you can. And here's the new Vegeta next to the 2.0 Piccolo with a custom cape. And I think this comparison really emphasizes how perfect the proportions on the new Vegeta are, especially the height. I feel like they've adjusted the height a little bit and made him slightly smaller, and I feel like that is perfect. The way these stand next to each other is exactly how I can see them standing next to each other in the show. And obviously, with this being a Namek Saga Vegeta, I did have to compare it to a Piccolo. So yeah, I can't wait to have these two next to each other on the shelf. So for our final comparison, we've got a comparison that just makes sense. It is the brand new Vegeta next to the Kaioken Goku and the Kid Gohan. Now, I believe that these characters, or these forms of these characters, do show up and interact with each other around the same time. So this will definitely make sense on the shelf, and they actually do look fantastic next to each other, especially Gohan and Vegeta. Like, the proportions between these two look absolutely perfect in my opinion. They look really, really good, so I think they will look great next to each other on the shelf. Now, I would like to have the kid Gohan in the Saiyan armor and the Krillin in Saiyan armor, to have that comparison. That would be such a good comparison. I'm sure someone's done it. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't have those figures, but these three do look great next to each other. Now, just imagine if this was a Saiyan Saga Vegeta, and that was a comparison. That would be like basically perfect. So yeah, I might do that Dragon Stars skirt adjustment thing that I was telling you guys about, and if I do, I will put it on my Instagram. So don't forget to check that out. So yeah, but that was the final comparison. So let's move on to my final thoughts. So to sum up my final thoughts on this figure, I do think that it is near enough perfect, starting with the look. From the armor to the faceplates to the scouter and the shoulder pads, I can't complain. It looks absolutely perfect, and they've nailed the look that they were going for, obviously, the stylistic look of the Namek and Saiyan Saga, right? So that looks really good. The articulation is also very, very good as well. The new elements of the torso, the shoulder pads, and the head work really well with the old retooled elements of the 2.0 legs and arms. So posing it is really nice and really smooth as well. So I can't really complain about that either. The one thing I would like to complain about is the accessories. I'm paying £65 for this figure, which is supposed to be a P Bandai exclusive, and I'm getting the accessories that I usually get with a £20, £30 release, for example, like a Naruto, right? I'm getting the essentials, and I'm not getting any more than that. Then you're releasing another P Bandai exclusive in a couple of months, which actually comes with extras for this figure, which I wouldn't have picked up anyway. But now, if I want extras for this figure, I kind of have to grab it. So it's, for me, it shouldn't be like that. For example, what I'm talking about is the purple Freezer Force alien that's coming out, P Bandai exclusive, I believe. It actually looks like a good figure, right? I don't like it. Actually looks really good, but it's not a character that I care about, and I'm going to spend that much amount of money on to get a figure of. But it comes with an essential accessory for this Vegeta figure, which is one of the blast hands. So now I'm kind of at like a point where I'm like, should I get it or should I just leave it? And that leaves me to complain about this figure with its lack of accessories. It should have come with quite a bit more, to be fair. When you're paying £65 to £70 for a figure, you do actually get more accessories with it, like a lot more. There's S.H.Figuarts examples of that, right? There's like Obito, and I'm referring to the Naruto line because I think that's the best line they've ever done. But yeah, with that being said though, this is definitely one of the best Vegeta action figures we've ever gotten, and I can't complain too much about that then, because this is absolutely fantastic and I do really like this figure. So I'm going to leave it with a final score of a 9 out of 10, knocking off the 1 point. I would like to knock off more with the accessories thing, but they've made other aspects so good that I can't complain too much. So yeah, 9 out of 10. I would definitely recommend picking it up if you've got the chance. I will try and find a pre-order for this for UK, but it's going to be hard. But if I have found one, it'll be a link in the description below, and the link for Ninian Game, which I got this from, will also be in the description. But besides from that, thank you very much for watching the review. If you have enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like, don't forget to subscribe, and also don't forget to check out my link tree in the description below to see what else I'm doing on other social media platforms. But besides from that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.